Good morning and welcome back to the Lost Begotten channel, where I am looking for a blank piece of paper stuff. Maybe this might work. So I can attempt to explain aerodynamics as far as front-wheel drive cars go. And, well, as far as front-wheel drive cars go, let's face it, there's nothing better than an Integra. As long as you get the right one. You know, the old seam-welded Type R. Which, in this case, would have to be a SIRG 94 to 97. But anyways, I'm kind of an Integra geek. I don't know if you've noticed. Accurate Integra, faithful and true. So I have a pencil and I have a pineapple. Wait, no, okay. So here's the deal. Aerodynamics, as far as big racer wings go, when it applies to a front-wheel drive car. Okay, here's the deal. When you see a big racer wing on a front-wheel drive car, to determine whether or not this person is actually a racer, you look at their brakes. If they have a brake upgrade, then they might actually be using this. That doesn't make any sense, Sean. What are you talking about? Okay. You can't do a 634 around Nürburgring in a 4-cylinder, can you? Well, I can. Let me tell you something about big freaking wing spoilers. When you're slamming on the brakes from 150 miles an hour, okay, which this car can do, okay, this pushes down on the back, which when you are going forward and you slam on the brakes, the front tends to squat down, the back tends to go up. So at these tremendous speeds, any speed over 72 miles an hour, this is going to be creating 30 and up pounds of downforce. Okay, so at 72 miles an hour, and this is just roughly estimated, you know, this is not a measurement. Okay, so 30 pounds down, just braking from 72 miles an hour. So that's just a little weight, keeping that in just a little bit further down composed. Now, also, when achieving high speeds, what front-wheel drive cars, especially with rear bumpers and not a whole bunch of, fancy vents that let air out of the back, suffer from, is turbulence going down the back and curling back underneath the car, creating lift on the back end while the car's in motion, such that even rear-wheel drive cars back in the 70s, I believe it was the Ford GT race car, one of the original ones, might have been the Porsche that looked like it, but one of those big old fancy looking like crazy 60s and 70s race cars, the ass came up at 240 miles an hour or some like top speed that it had, the ass just raised up on a rear-wheel drive car, and that was scary. So, then you have hatchbacks. Okay, so if I got myself a little hatchback, and that is a horrible, horrible hatchback, because I'm looking through the camera at the paper, because I'm a dumbass. You see these guys with the wing on it. Okay, if the wing is down like this, that keeps the turbulence from going around and lifting the ass up at speed. And that on these lighter cars, you're talking 85 miles an hour, the ass end is going to start to come up. because you're getting about 120 pounds of pressure between the amount of air that's let underneath the car and this amount of turbulence that blocks this air from escaping and then pushes up. So this diffuses that air, allows it to pass behind you. Now, this setup is not going to help like this setup under braking. But if you see a hatchback with either a weird looking wing or just one of these whale tails that goes up like this, which would be a EP9 Mugen part, I believe, or something like that. And there was this guy acting like he knew what the fuck he was talking about, hating on this guy who had a gray Civic with a bra on it. And the guy was just hating on him hardcore, when in fact, the fact that he had his hatchback whale tail up like that, and rims, and a bra, and a lip, and it wasn't otherwise riced out, should have took a better look at the guy's brakes. Because if this guy knows what it's like to come off of the brakes at 150 or 120 miles an hour, this would help him out a lot. Okay? While it may negligibly hurt your top speed by about 8 to 15 miles an hour, depending on how much it's all about math and percentages. Okay? 8 to 15 miles an hour once you pass 120. Okay? This really isn't going to hurt your acceleration until you get way up there in speed. It's going to